RLC was
Residential.
RLC was designed for the people along US 1, so that they could do.
But we've expanded it. It's no longer just US 1. It's Babcock, US 1, Malabar Road. So it would be residential until someone came in and pulled a business permit, and then they would have to abide by all of the commercial limited guidelines. So that was one issue I had. Another issue is the 4,000 square feet. When we did that, this is it's in the ORLC commercial district thing and the
Right,
chart.
that's in our code of ordinance, that's in our land development plan,
Right.
it's not in the comprehensive plan.
Okay,
So that would occur after this.
okay. But that has been an issue in the past, and it could be an issue now because we have two competing elements in there. One states it's 4,000 square feet max.
Okay, comprehensive plan takes precedence over our land development plan. The land development plan is supposed to go along with that, so the document that counts is the comprehensive.
Okay. So when do we correct the
That
difficulties?
comes after, that's the last thing, as I stated, is the last thing we do. After everything is approved, then we can go back and update the land development code book.
Okay. So after it's approved, then we go back and adjust it.
Right. Now we fix the town's books. Now we're fixing the state books. Now
The state books.
After the state books, we go to the town.
And I know.
There's a concern though that if we let it slide here,
It's not sliding here.
Well, you are changing a lot of things to RLC, and the definition of that and the guidelines aren't compatible with each other. And it's happened in the past, and it's happening now.
All right, I'll ask Debbie. Debbie, is the 4,000 square foot in the .2 in the comprehensive plan?
No,
I didn't think so.
4,000 square foot is what's in the comp plan.
The .2 is not.
The conflict with the .20 has been brought up since 2012 and never addressed.
Other than the opinion that it doesn't apply.
But it's still here.
We have to fix it, there's no doubt about it.
Right.
But we gotta get this
So we have
done first before we can get that.
Exactly.
We gotta get this done before we do anything else.
Correct. It's gonna be addressed. 1.2 is gonna come out.
Okay. It's gonna come out.
It has to, because like you said, it's a conflict
Well, but
with the comp plan.
I would say the 4,000 should come out.
But the comp plan says 4,000.
Well, that's the issue. The comp plan should be changed. Because if somebody has like a 5 or 6 acre lot, why shouldn't they get the .20 coverage maximum building instead of 4,000? It doesn't make sense to buy a large tract of property and then have it restricted. And, you know, why have the maximum building coverage illustration in here that shows it and then not use it or tell them it's not correct? Anyway, I think the 4,000 square feet should be struck.
That's something you can think about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, we've been through this. The 4,000, the reason why you don't want large buildings along US 1, Malabar Road, and Babcock Street in RLC was 4,000 was the biggest building you could have, no matter what size the lot was. And the reason we did that was because we didn't want huge buildings, you know, taken over, sitting right next to a resident. So that was the reasoning on P&Z, and council even agreed with all that back 2 years ago. And that's what happened. That's what happened with
but I have a big issue with that because we decided to do,
Yeah, we're not supposed to. All right, any other residents? I'll close the public hearing.
Now we can discuss now.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
I have staff go. I was going to go into staff part, but I wanted to do it before we started, so that way everybody knew. Does staff have any questions or any comments? Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2018-06.
I'll make that motion with the understanding that all we're doing is presenting this plan to the appropriate state agency. We're not changing any zoning on anybody's property.
Correct.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I will second it.
Let me just,
That's,
we're not rezoning any property,
Yeah.
that's 100%.
That's what I wanted that.
But we are changing the future land use designation for some properties, okay? So if their current zoning is office institutional, which is a zoning category we have.
Sorry.
And the future land use is changed to RLC. Remember what I told you ad nauseum? Those two need to match in order for development to occur.
But not tonight.
Not tonight, that's correct. It'll happen.
And we can always readjust this plan in the future. Is that correct?
Sure.
We can make adjustments to it.
We can, in fact, we will.
That was like one note.
Yeah,
Have to do another.
My point is, we get this thing done and in and approved, and then we go ahead and make it the way we want
And
it.
we will take future requests on a case-by-case basis.
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, this lady here who has the office industrial zoning at this time,
Still zoning, that's correct.
this is not going to affect her.
It's not going to change her zoning.
Or anybody else's.
It will, the future land use map will change what our plan is for
But
the
it
future,
already-
okay? But her zoning stays the same. Now, from an eminent domain perspective, I can't tell you how they would look at it. Because her current usage, her current usage is residential right now. So,
With the intent of OI.
okay, I understand,
I can't sell it while you're in flux.
but
Over the years.
again, when you took the formula for eminent domain compensation is a little bit more complicated than, hey, this is what I want to use it for, okay? They look at the present use, how long it's been used that way. Have you made any efforts to proceed to get to the future use of OI or something like that, okay? So those are all things that are taken into consideration. Whether the future land use change affects that value, future land use as opposed to zoning, okay? I would agree if it was a zoning change. This is not a zoning, you're still zoned that with the right to go back and ask this council to change the future land use back to OI.
Right, and no one else will buy it right now because of the disclosure rules.
All right, so we, sorry,
I had a possible clarification, because I've been asking the question each
now
time.
hold on, let's get I have a motion, I got a second? Did I get a second?
Yes.
Okay, I got a second.
Okay, so I put in this, I said, because I even asked at planning and zoning, Debbie, last Wednesday. So I would suggest to add to the ordinance, none of the proposed land use changes will create a condition of non-compliance of any current zoning. In other words, zoning is grandfathered to the current property for future buying and selling, both present and proposed are acceptable.
Well, I stated earlier, that this does not mean the landowners have to change their land use, but if they choose to, then the legwork is already. So, like, for instance, this lady with, she's OI, she just keeps it OI.
Well, there's-
Listen,
Okay.
the vision of the town is to have this corridor of RLC along Malwa Road. If she doesn't agree with the vision of us, then she just keeps it OI.
I realize that we've been saying that, but it would be nice to have it in writing. I
Yes.
have
Yes.
OI. I have OI as well. I'm on Malabar Road, I have OI. And I was just clarifying so that we would have it in writing in the ordinance.
I mean, isn't it a standard, in that,
Yeah, that's state
it
law.
doesn't need to be in
I
writing.
bet her lane's not changing.
Carl, help
So
us
I bet her
out.
lane's not changing.
She's got OI zoning and has a use that's non-conforming. It's residential. But that's okay, you can keep going on. All right, you're gonna call it in, all those fine fancy words. Now, if she wants to.
That's
What was that?
That was not
That was
called
just
for, it's
rude.
not fine fancy words. I did
It's
my
called-
homework.
It's other words that you can use for grandfathering, that's what I'm saying. It's a pre-existing condition.
I love you, Dick Horn.
The
Keep up the
grandfather.
good work, man.
Yeah, but your comment wasn't appropriate.
Okay, so, and I'm trying to help you out here, okay?
Yeah, that sounds like.
We're just trying to get clarification.
She's got the OI zone. She's got a residential use. The residential use is non-conforming to the OI zone. If she ever wanted to do anything with that property other than residential, whatever future use has to comply with both the future land use map and the zoning. So if she wanted to do a OI use and we changed the map, she'd have to go back and have the comp plan changed to OI, back to OI. So in a roundabout way, it does affect that.
Not a roundabout
All right,
No, in an eventual way.
Just don't change my designation.
And we can always come back, once this is approved by the state, as we have it here, we can make any adjustments or changes to it that we deem necessary.
But let's be careful about that. Here's where you gotta be careful. Let's assume you have this corridor now, all RLC. All of a sudden, in the middle, you want a spot zone and OI. That's a problem for those people. That's a problem because it's called spot zone.
What's that area zone now?
I have.
it's
I have
already
lied.
spot zone.
It's
already spot zone.
So we're not changing
No, we have a
it.
church next door, it's
The whole,
CG.
what I'm
On
looking at is
Babcock
you have
from
a corridor
Station
of the zoning. And right in the middle, you want to stick a different type of zoning in there. That's,
We have more authority and more rights to do, make these adjustments. Once this thing that we've got tonight is approved.
that's a true statement.
Okay, there's,
That's why we need to get this approved tonight, so that we have the rights to go ahead and do what we need to do.
But remember, what we're doing is complying with the state requirement we update. These are what we're proposing. Not everything has to be changed. You might say, leave it alone. Okay?
which is a question I asked, but we have certain things that are out of compliance.
That's
So we
correct.
have to change the conservation. We never got exact answer on what is the minimal thing we could change. We went ahead and changed more than the minimal.
That was the direction of P and Z in 2013.
Right. So we were going through, because of 2013, we're not going,
The council of 2013.
okay, but I'm just saying, we could not do as much change as what we are doing. When we're talking spot zoning, we decided RLC and we, Routwell Motorsports did CG. Now we're talking about doing all RLC. That's why I was trying to work, how can we keep the people that came in tonight, how can we keep the zoning RLC and allow them to build their structure? I'm a lot right beside them. I mean, so I'm just trying to say, let's think outside the box. Can we keep the RLC? Do we have to change so much?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Debbie, but we have not received a letter from the state that says we have to change the zoning along that level. Correct?
We haven't changed any zone.
What I'm saying is, the state, is it saying we have to change that zone?
No.
2016, we sent a letter to the state
So this is what they
in
want.
preparation of our 7-year renewal. And we told the state that council had voted to expand RLC onto the other corridors. Right? At that time, it was only on US 1.
Mhm.
And they were gonna keep that 4,000 square foot minimum footprint, so we didn't get a big box store on the corridors. That's why it didn't matter what size your property was, you'd only put a 4,000 square foot footprint on the building, on the property. And that's what we told the state we were going to do. We were gonna change our industrial to conservation, we were gonna change our high-density residential to conservation, and we were gonna change certain areas on the corridors to allow RLC. In addition, the state told us we must incorporate the statutory language adopted by the state legislature that dealt with peril of flood development or redevelopment.
Mhm.
That's essentially what was changed, what the state told us to change. Nothing more.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, this has been said many times before, but no zoning is changing, okay? If we pass this, we can go ahead and take care of the issues that were brought up tonight. And I will commit to work towards that. However, we're handcuffed right now. We have to submit a plan. We have to submit a future land use plan. This is what we've got tonight. I believe we should pass this, and then we can immediately start working on the revisions to solve the issues we've heard about tonight, and any other issues that may have come.
The statement is all very well, hold on to that, because I like, it's for the future, not for tonight.
Yeah, we've been working on this for an incredible length of time. How the word doesn't get out is the same way as I'm going to be a councilman the next 2 years because I was unopposed. And I was unopposed the 2 years before that, and I was unopposed the 2 years before that. Why was I unopposed? Because nobody cares. To come to a meeting and say we know nothing about this, when I worked on this 5 years ago when I was on planning and zoning, means nobody takes the time to care about your town unless it directly affects you.
That's right.
I don't care until it affects you.
That's right.
I had Morris down at my house 3 years ago,
So-
this was never mentioned.
So this is one of the problems. We try to do the best we can. And I'm here for one reason. I feel it's my turn to give back to the town to do something, to come up here and take my turn in the barrel. And I went out this last time asking people here, I'll help you get a packet. Jim, right? I'll help you run against me because he's in my area. Did I get anybody to run against me? No. So what I'm saying is, I don't want to have an argument with people. When we've worked on this, I worked on it through planning on zoning, we've done the best we can. The residential limited commercial, let me expand a little bit about that. Why do we have that? We had people living on US 1 right next to Malabar Automotive. Now, she might have been here long enough to know, but there was Malabar Automotive, a junkyard, Charlie Lang, and we had residents right beside it. Well, if we'd have made it all commercial, the residents couldn't rebuild that house if it got knocked over in a hurricane, right? If we make it a commercial designation or something else, it can't. So we came up, or the town came up back then with residential limited commercial. That means you can have a residence there, you can rebuild your residence there, or you can have limited commercial. And that's something everybody should look at because it's not simple, it's very complex. The residential limited commercial. How much can you have? How many businesses can you have? So that's something that you need to be aware of. I think we've worked very hard to try to put this together. And like Steve says, of course there's going to be situations that we have to address on a one-by-one issue. But right now we're hamstringed. We can't let anybody even come into the town and change any zoning because we're stuck, right?
We're out of compliance.
We're out of compliance. So we need to get this through, or what? If we don't put it through, then we're still out of compliance. We're out of compliance until we get it through.
No development orders can be issued.
And we start it all over again.
But I think we can be more publicly putting this stuff out. That's why I kept asking, because of that's why I made the statement tonight, is because I already knew when I read this ordinance, you say we've worked on it. We have worked on it a long time, but we haven't read the ordinance until this week, right?
Correct.
So we could change the wording of the ordinance so that we would protect the people.
It's not so much the ordinance, it's the
Yeah,
attachment.
Yeah, what's wrong with the ordinance?
Yeah, the attachment refers to
The details of the future.
Attachments.
Yeah, it's the attachment, that's the.
Well, I think that this was the thing that concerned me the most, was the words, that,
Of the attachment.
The whereases?
The ordinance itself is pretty
Yeah.
Pretty simple plan. It says we adopt the changes in Exhibit A.
I guess I'm just wanting to protect, like, we're allowed to
Or
use
you're
the
just saying Exhibit A
future.
is what you're referring to.
Yes,
All right.
okay, thank you.
And again, my point is, okay, this is not the perfect plan. We're hearing from some people for the first time that they've got major objections to it. Okay, now we know. Now we can begin to work it. And again, I will commit to doing it. So let's get in compliance, and then let's fix these issues that we brought up tonight and any other ones that arise in the meantime.
Well, I just wanted to ask the attorney, this isn't adopting anything. All you guys are doing is authorizing it to be sent to the state. There's 2 more public hearings that it's gonna have to go through. Between now and 30 days, we have plenty of time to hear from the public on these individual cases and have them bring their parcel IDs in, and, you know, there'll be a meeting at P and Z and a public hearing at P and Z, and there'll be a meeting here and a public hearing at council again.
And I want to state another thing is that when I did call on the reason why we have to have things in compliance, it's so that we can get, one thing that we can get is our stormwater, like if you have damage to your house, you can actually apply for monies from the state for that damage. And I believe that's how we even got the roof for this building, is through that, wasn't it? FEMA? It wasn't, it was from FEMA?
But that's that parallel flood legislation.
Parallel flood.
You have to have regulations now that are compliant with the new language in the Florida building code that says we want to discourage rebuilding when you've lost your house due to a flood in the same place, in the same way. So they have higher regulations, build your house up higher. Or in some cases, like you're referring to, the federal government has money set aside to buy your property so you can
Yep.
build in an area that's not in a flood-prone area.
And,
But that's all part of why we had to update our language.
and again, like Steve is saying, we're not changing any zoning here now.
All we're doing is we're.
The word that you should be used is land use.
Yes.
Land use.
And you can use the old land use and the proposed land use. You're allowed to use both. Your property, you're still allowed to use both.
Right, as it is what it is today, and then the town's future wants it to be something else, and you can just stay
What
in
you,
what you have today,
Yes.
not change it.
right.
Any other discussion? We'll do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Ball,
Aye.
Councilmember Mahoney,
Aye.
Councilmember Rivet,
Aye.
Councilmember Corn,
Aye.
Councilmember White. Motion carried to transmit this to the state.
We're gonna have to have another meeting before we move.
Okay, thanks for your help tonight. All right, we'll move on down to discussion, update on the memorial for Mayor Carl Bailey. Dick, you wanted this on the agenda?
I want this on the agenda. I move that we name the Public Works Complex after former mayor presided on Carl.
Thank you.
This was referred to the Parks Board and they, Parks and Recreation. And they agreed with that and sent back to us a letter that they recommended the Public Works Complex be named for Carl Beatty. And that complex, if it had been for Carl, probably wouldn't even exist.
The next to last page in your packet is what I believe is, that's what's being proposed as a sign to put on the public works building.
2 foot by 4 foot, green with white border and white letters, and it's the same type of format for the Huggins family, however the word is for that, for the playground.
I so move. Is there a second on my motion?
You so move this?
Yeah.
Look up there.
I saw it.
Okay.
That's all set.
All right,
I'll second it. We're agreeing to do this, right?
correct.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Do we have an estimated cost?
Yeah, it's gonna be about $98 each.
$100.
This one and then the Huggins family one is the same price.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. 5-0. All right, so we'll move on to reports. Laura?
Okay, I've had, okay, so I've had a lot of calls about this ordinance, and I don't even know if I did the right thing, but there's a lot of people that are concerned about the zoning being grandfathered, you know, and so there's been some calls from citizens very concerned about the information on pages 1-2 under potable water facilities. The projected water amounts proposed to be leaving Malabar is alarming to them. One couple has already had a well dry up and has had to dig another. They asked me how many other residents may have had to do the same, and maybe we ought to do a study on how many wells have dried up. I believe it would be wise to take this into consideration and figure out if we need to look for some solutions. If you want to look at 1, 2.
Wells dry in 20 years. How's
Well,
that?
it says right here that in 2021, that it's going to be double the permitted withdrawal from our Florida aquifer wells. You know, it's got 5.09. What is MGD?
Million gallons per day.
So million gallons per day in 2007, and then expands to 10.49 million gallons per day in 2021.
That's based on the projected populations. If you compare the populations, we're not anywhere close to where they projected the population would be. That would be the water usage if the population was actually that large. We were at 2,600 people 10 years ago, and we're at 2,800 people now. So our population has not grown anywhere close to what Calvin Giordano said it was going to.
So how many, do you have a study, or do we keep up with that study for how much is
That
going on?
element, as far as the water usage and sewer, is not anything I touch, okay? There's no underlines on that, so it's not anything I change. That's gonna be the job of somebody in the future to update that.
Most of you lived here a pretty long time. Have any of y'all had to have your wells redrilled?
My last
Oh, yeah.
20 years, I
Absolutely.
talked to Heidi Kruger, 20 years.
20-year lifespan of an average
20
well.
years.
Well, at my house,
That's
it was
a
1969.
shallow well.
It depends on your well. If you drill a deep well,
Right.
it's there until the casing rots out,
20 years.
which may cost you big bucks, because if it starts leaking in your yard, the only thing they can do is seal it off. But deep wells last forever because they're pressure fed. They're into an aquifer that they're fed from the Carolinas. So if you notice right now, your deep wells, if any of you have it, you got some pressure right now because there's some water up there. And then, because the old Florida homes all had a square box, because I've had several of them, in the back that was made out of concrete blocks, and you had a arm like in a toilet, and when the arm fell down, the water rolled into it, and the sulfur gas went away, and then you poked that into your house. And I had one at my parents' house on that wall, and yeah, it has gotten down, 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 and I buried it in the ground, if you want to see it.
All right, it also seems the RLC definition needs some clarification, as words have changed between P and Z and the packet we have presently. You need to talk to Liz, talk to you. The RLC, I just think could clarify it differently.
Correction that was made in there is in the comp plan right now as it exists. It's not anything that we propose for changing, and it's not anything that staff can do without council directing that.
Well, I think that's what council, I think we have to clarify it better. I was more looking at the people's proposal tonight, and I just can't see why it can't fit into RLC, you know. It seems to fit the graph. but I couldn't find the graph in this one here, but I know I have it somewhere. So the other thing, I've had several citizens who believe my idea to have Felix in Public Works train employees to operate as he does would be a really great idea. He is a hard worker, and if we could duplicate him, we might build a strong Public Works department. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got some concerns about the LLC. I mean, I understand the reasoning behind it, protecting existing residences, and, not having a Walmart with, 6 buildings. But that's not what it is. I think there might be some areas where Hawaii or some other zoning might be appropriate along our road. Transmit our plan. Let's get ahead of the game and start looking at it again for the next
Well, I'm gonna bring up something that I brought up before, and we've never moved forward on doing it. We need to set a date for a workshop, probably when we get our new town manager, to do a public works workshop. We get a plan of what we're doing in public works, and we can see where we're progressing along that plan. I brought it up last meeting, haven't heard any more for it. I'm going to keep bringing it up because I think that's something that's going to play into a lot of the situations that we get up here from our constituents when, a road isn't graded or something like that. And somebody says, well, when's it normally done? Well, I don't know when it's normally done. But if we had a plan going forward and we did workshops maybe twice a year with us doing a workshop with the Public Works Department to find out, okay, this is the whiteboard we got, that's my envision with bar graph up there, this is where we are on, these are our critical projects. And if you're a new project, then you're in the bottom of the list unless it's some reason gets reallocated up higher. So I still want to see that come up sometime.
Can I respond just for a minute? I've actually been talking with Matt about doing that specifically for drainage, but I think what you're talking about, it's just an expansion of that. Most of our work should be drainage, but I think what you're talking about,
whatever it is, whether it's drainage, roads, whatever, and that we do that. But I think we get asked too many times from the citizens about what's going on, and we really we don't have a clue on what's going on. And we don't know if there's a big work project, when it's scheduled to be done, when it's scheduled to be even started, so.
On this subject, Doug, you can answer this better, I guess, than anybody else. A few years ago, we developed a plan, and we had A, B, C, D, of what order we were going to implement that plan in for the drainage. There was a map, it might still be up there, covered up with something else. Are we still following that plan that the council established at that time?
To an extent, we've done some of the projects on there. I believe the town engineer worked with council at that time and developed that. That was before I got here.
It was 2013.
2013. Just a quick overview of where we are now. We've pretty well finished up the project over on Atz on the south side between Smith Lane and Corey. We've got a project that we're going to do on the west end of Hall on the north side. And then I believe the intent is, after that, is to focus on maintenance in the town. We've been very shorthanded, and I think with the additional people that are going to be hired, that are assuming they show up on Wednesday, we're going to move forward on additional maintenance in the town. Our snow blower ditch cleaner should be here. I've sent an email off today asking for a specific date, and I think that will allow us to move forward a lot more efficiently on our ditches in the town. The town's broken up into 13 areas with ditches and roads, and in theory, Public Works makes an effort to follow these, do one area after the other. One thing that is a problem, for example, over on Marie and Gladder, we had a culvert failure, so we replaced the culvert. Once we got in there, we now found that the culverts between the manhole, there's about 40 feet in there that were installed incorrectly after we, and so consequently, we're gonna spend another 2 weeks or certainly a week and a half digging all of that up and replacing it or connecting it so it'll operate properly. So, in general, Public Works does have a plan of what they're going to do, but they unfortunately encounter a lot of things that were maybe not done as well as they could have been in the past, or thought through as well as they should have been. So, and I personally would agree with council that I think a workshop, a biannual or twice a year workshop, I think would be beneficial not only for council, but for Public Works and the citizens as a whole.
What I believe that we owe to the people of the town, the knowledge that there is a plan of not just stormwater management, but just groundwater management. Period, whether there's a rainstorm or whether it's just standing water. And we have some of that all year round. But we need a plan of where are we going to deal with it. And most of that plan should do with a connection and a clearing of the ditches, which is basically what you've been doing.
Right.
Of the water, what we call our own little private waterways.
And I believe we'll see more of that. There's about 5 basins in the
We
town.
need to have a plan of where to go from here to here to here.
Okay, that's why we're gonna have a workshop. Grant,
Yeah,
you got
and
anything
that might
else?
fit in the public works workshop, yeah.
Grant?
I'm good. I was looking at November calendar for that, and actually only 3 of us, oh, and by the way, I think you're unopposed because you do such a damn great job.
That's why we're opposed.
Okay, but only 3 of us are guaranteed to be here next month, okay? So, and looking at November, and forget about it, this
There will be a
election,
council next month.
Thanksgiving and all that, so I would say that we should take a look at, the third or the second council meeting in November. We could set a date in December, the first week or so. And the whole deal about it is that, all right, your statement about Felix and everything, you know, I agree with you. It's just not our purview to direct Felix. You know, that's in the business of the town administrator and the public works director, and that's why we need to have this workshop, so we can transmit these ideas to them, okay? And I think it would be a good idea to set a plan for maybe the first part of December. Council's all set. Matt will be in here after November the 8th in his official capacity, and I would love to see us get to work on that.
And for what it's worth, Matt's been working with Tom as well,
Right.
so that we can look forward to some of these
Yeah.
enhancements.
And it is a two-way street with Public Works, because it's like that day that he found out the damage on that culvert coming from the manhole, you know, was going to set us back,
Right.
you know. Those things happen, and that needs to be transmitted, you know, to the public and everything.
And frankly, Public Works didn't say, oh, well, we've got a damaged manhole, we're just gonna go home and watch
He
television.
did the right thing.
They have other projects in the town. They've done some road grading, they've done some ditch cleaning, they've done some mowing, and so.
And everything was done good that day, except for John trying to electrocute himself.
Right.
You know, okay. But
But he failed.
he failed, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Failed to electrocute himself.
You know, I just want to say thanks for the people that sit here wire to wire. Okay? Jim, Liz, Brian, my wife, Barry, Roger,
Jose?
Jose, okay? Lisa, you did it tonight, okay, all right? You know, people come in, they speak their piece and they're gone. And I have to agree with so much of what Grant said, you know, it takes a little bit of participation to make this town better, you know? So, and, you know, that's it, that's all I can say, thank you.
Yeah, I want to pick up, actually Doug knows, this was something I spoke with him earlier today about. And then the one lady that came in with the business she's got with the 35 trucks. But she wanted to make sure it was attractive for the town. My comment to Doug earlier today is the town is starting to look like hell. We decided that we weren't going to mow along the roads, that the people were going to mow, or it wasn't going to get mowed. And the time you ride through this town, it looks horrible. The town looks like trash right now. You drive down Weber Road, I want to get out on my mower and do the whole damn thing, but I can't. I don't have that much gasoline, and my mower wouldn't last that long. We need to get Public Works back to work on keeping the town looking good. And, you know, just go from here to my house and you'll see a tremendous amount of just garbage along the roads. And it's vegetative garbage growing there. We need to get back to mowing the roads.
Anything else?
You know, do you need a motion then? Do you need it on the agenda for the next meeting?
No, you understand what's wrong. You should understand, we don't have the people right now, we're trying to hire
But
people.
that isn't why we made the decision not to. We made the decision not to because the people could be used elsewhere. But no, that's the best place to be used. And I really want to know why we were down to 2 employees. We ought to have at least 6.
Well,
I don't know what the budget even calls for, but we can't function in this town without 6 public works employees.
These are all things that we're going to correct.
I won't be at the next meeting. I've already asked for excuse. I'll be somewhere between here and Baltimore, where you folks are sitting in here, the next meeting. But, call me tomorrow. I mean, I did a phone ring.
Anything else?
But the point is, we need to get the town looking better. Whatever it takes. And somebody said, well, who cares? People don't care. Maybe they don't care what it looks like. You go down and look at Weber Woods, a very nice place with a homeowners association. And from the road to that sidewalk and hill in front of them, looks trashy, looks horrible. And that's not, I'm not pointing out just them, that's a good example that I can call by name. But it's everywhere.
Anything else? Debbie, I got a question. Grant wanted CP on the agenda. Is the next meeting enough time to get?
Sure, I'll get some from you.
Okay. We couldn't do it to this, I was gonna try it for this one, but we had end of the year, we had, last week was.
Yeah, I'm just bringing it up.
I know, but no, this is coastal preservation.
Oh, yes.
So this is a separate.
Yeah, I
topic.
knew in that, I didn't want to bring that up.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so the end of the year is over, and so,
We can get on.
so we can try for the next agenda. Okay. And I don't have anything else. I spoke 20 minutes. So without objection, meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Doc.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't see that. It's in my city.
I don't know what's coming up.